Welcome to the No K podcast. This is our first recorded episode of 2024. You guys might have seen we released a Chinu episode a little earlier this year, but we recorded that in 2023. And then with Christmas and New Year's around the corner, we just decided to kind of hold off a little bit. I think ultimately it was a good choice. I don't know. I don't know how we feel about releasing stuff or watching new stuff on or new content on New Year's and Christmas. So.
No, I don't think we. Yeah, I don't know
We
how
never
that
really
works.
like talked
We
about
kind of
it.
just released. I think. So first of all, what's up, everybody? Welcome to 24. Happy
Yes.
New Year's.
Happy New Year's. It's
Happy
been a
New
minute.
Year's.
It's
It has been a
while,
minute.
man.
So this podcast is just Peng and I, obviously.
Yeah.
This is how we started. Is
Yeah?
just you and I. So
How crazy.
yeah.
About this time last year, right?
Yeah, I think a little bit past. I think we first released our episode in maybe like
March?
March, something like that.
Wow.
So it's
yeah,
kind of crazy.
We're coming on 1 year.
Coming on 1 year, and we've done some good guests.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of feedback in the last couple weeks from different
Yeah.
people of just like people are kind of surprised by who we're getting on, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm surprised myself, you know. It's because we really just did it as like a little passion project.
Yeah.
And the
for
fact
sure.
that we're able to draw like, and I know that all these people, as I talk about them, they're all very humble, and they're not gonna think like, oh yeah, I'm no one special. But I think they are, you know. And so the fact that we can get these people with big names and big audiences and big followings, and I think we're gonna get more of those too. I'm just surprised by us, so I wanted to say like, congratulations to us for just having the ability to actually get these people to come here.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have to spend their time to come here and talk with us, but they do. And I think our job is just to talk to them openly,
Yeah.
respectfully, honestly too.
And just listen.
And just listen, and ask questions that maybe other people would want to ask.
Yeah.
You know, we never dive into like deep politics or huge
Right.
controversial topics. Like we
yeah.
really just always focus on who that person is that comes to us.
Yeah.
And it's worked out well so far, I think, you know.
I think so. And yeah, like big ups to us. Because we followed through with it. We talked about this in the earlier episode where podcasts die within the first like 10 episodes. And like we're coming on a year, 20 episodes, 20 something episodes.
Yeah, a lot of conversations in that short time frame.
And so like it's pretty crazy. And so we're kind of like establishing ourselves. We're finding our home and we're finding our niche in the podcast world, and especially in the Mon Community. What's your goal for the podcast, I guess, moving forward
I
in
think
2024?
and I honestly, you guys are getting your first live view of the conversation because from the from the background, like Peng and I don't really talk all that much. You know, I don't even know why. Personal reasons. We're busy.
Yeah.
He's our dad.
Busy,
He's a dad.
yeah.
I'm busy. So we actually don't even talk all that much unless we're talking about like setting up something. And then like, when are we available to make it happen? That's like the extent of our conversation outside of the podcast. So if you guys think we're always talking to each other like all the time, we're really not.
No.
We're just, you know, like most people, we're just busy adults living our lives. Like we don't have time to just chat all the time. We keep up.
Friends.
We're podcast. We keep up with each other here and there, but it's probably like most of y'all who are in your 30s or have kids. Like we, like, I don't know. Do you have how many friends do you have that you chat with a whole bunch?
Not too often.
Yeah,
it's just
me
a super
neither.
handful. Actually, like during the New Year's, like, you know, my wife like forced me to kind of take part in like this, like
that boys trip that you did.
Yeah,
or whatever?
yeah.
I
and
saw
so
that.
we went out for a weekend, and that was so nice. Like, I realized like these were friends that I grew up with, like, you know, and so it was nice to kind of chat with them, kind of see where they're at in life, just kind of catch up.
Yeah.
And like you realize now, like in your 30s, it's like everybody's so busy.
Yeah,
we're
you
all
forget.
trying to, like, whether we're parents, we're still trying to establish ourselves in our careers. Like we're still trying to figure out our own lives, and so everyone's super busy. And so, fortunately for this podcast, like, you know, we get to sit down.
Yeah.
And it kind of forces us
You
to
gotta
like
slow
sit
down.
down, and which is nice too, because like yeah, like I've learned a ton from this podcast.
Yeah.
Um,
But going back to your question,
yeah,
which you asked initially, which what was the
yeah,
goal for 24? Um, since we're discussing it live in front of everybody, or
yeah,
not live, but on this recording with
yeah,
everybody, I think for me is I want to. I think the challenging part that I've been seeing now, for myself as I look forward with the podcast is who else do we bring on, right?
yeah,
Who else do
yeah,
we bring on? Like, I'm not saying there's not like way more interesting people, but it's just that I think it was easy to pick some people that maybe stood out in the Mon community really easily,
right,
that you could see and be like, oh, that's someone to talk with.
yeah,
And I think the challenge now is going to be like, who do we pick out now that maybe are not as exposed, which means that we're
right,
going to do a little bit more homework to figure out like what kind of Hmong people do we want to talk
yeah,
with,
yeah,
like what kind of career fields, what kind of
right,
professionals. Like there's the easy pickings, right? There's
yeah.
like the ones who we know,
There's
like
the doctors, the
yeah,
lawyers,
yeah,
right?
or
Like
like
the
Chef Yia,
yeah,
guys
yeah,
who, some people that already have a following, they're easy to pick out because just imagine you're like, if you were the person, you the listener, if you're the one setting up this podcast and you wanted to talk to people who kind of are already in the public face,
yeah,
like there's easy ones to pick
yeah,
because you see them through social media, you see them on that Hmong American experience, you like
yeah,
see them around. I think where we're gonna come into now is figuring out the people who are not online,
yeah,
not doing all those things, but are still doing really, really cool things. So
yeah.
I think that's one challenge
Oh,
that
for sure.
we're gonna cross. Uh, but I'm excited for it because it's gonna make us have to dig deeper for new people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's gonna also allow our listeners to hear about some that maybe are not as heard of as
Right.
much.
We get to kind of plug them.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly, which is
I,
cool
I
because
think
there's yeah.
just looking at Chinu's episode, like one of the things he said that was really cool is like it's our responsibility now moving forward to like, I hate to say this, but because we have a small platform, to like platform other people now, and so I think going into 2024, I think just finding small local people doing interesting things,
Yeah.
like you said, and bringing them on and just kind of shining a spotlight. And here's the thing: is like we don't have like a huge platform or a huge following. We still only get like under 500 views
Yeah,
per
yeah.
episode. But if we can bring somebody on, make them feel good and make them feel special and tell their story, I think that'd be cool. I One guy I've been talking to, one of our mutual friends, James.
Yeah.
I think he's a teacher in the
Yep.
Mon Community. I think that'd be kind of fun just to kind of
Inner city public school teachers, which is even more
yeah. I
interesting.
think that'd be super cool. Just like stuff like that, where
Yeah.
just everyday people. I think the another thing for 2024. Well, I guess this would be something I learned in 2023 was that nobody grows an audience accidentally. Like nobody goes viral the way we think about it, where you just post a random video
Yeah.
and
Unless I
it
say
blows up.
unless I say something real controversial right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
so
otherwise
like
no.
I'm realizing as we're doing this, it's like it does take work. As much as I don't want to make this work, it does take work
Yeah.
to like grow an audience, so that's something I'm slowly accepting. Where it's like, all right, cool, all right.
The like the patience aspect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. As we continue to grow this, it's going to continue to work.
Yeah, and
coordination on our
and
end. Yeah.
I'll relate this to my business too because it's been 8 years,
Mm-hmm.
and I always have that kid in me that is not patient. I want
Yeah.
it to happen like
Oh,
now.
yeah.
I want it to happen like ASAP. But in my business, as I get older, and thankfully I'm getting older, which means I'm also getting a little bit more patient.
Yeah.
Like I'm really understanding and the reason is I'm understanding that it takes time, but I've had a lot of older people tell me like, hey, whatever you're doing, just keep going, keep hammering, but
Mhm.
be patient. Things take time to develop, and it's true. We've been doing it for a year, but
I think we got lucky. I think we're one of the luckier podcasters that have, and we were able to grow a following fast.
Yeah.
A little bit faster. I mean, whether it's luck or whether it's like intentional work that we put
I mean,
in.
it's part of it all.
Yeah, it's
I
a little bit of both. And
it's
that's
a little bit
what
of
I'm
both
realizing.
because remember we started talking about this podcast like literally 2020 or something like
Yeah.
that's when
Oh,
we
yeah.
first started talking about it, right? And we had a choice at the time. We could have just started right there and then.
Yeah.
But we didn't. We sat on the idea for like a year or
Yeah.
two, and then we kickstarted,
Yeah.
and then look at where we are after a year. So
Yeah.
had we started 2 years prior to that, we'd
Right.
be on year 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, nothing develops quickly. Like it develops
Right.
over time, and at the end of the day, like also like understanding where we want to go, which is something that we're still figuring out. Like, what do
Yeah.
we actually want the podcast to become? To be what is the podcast's identity? You know, it's like a
Right.
business, right? It's its own
Yeah,
thing.
for sure.
Like, what's the identity of the podcast? And I know for me, when I started the pod with you, it's that I didn't think that far, but I also don't stress about it because that's how my business kind of started.
Yeah.
Is you just go with it.
Yeah.
You just go with it, and
Yeah.
then later on we'll have the discussions and we'll narrow it down. And so, um,
I think that's one of
Yeah.
the fun things about the podcast is like if you go back and see the episodes, like you see the growth, whether it's like the editing, the clips, even just our ability to kind of speak on the mic, and then also the direction of our podcast overall.
Yeah.
You kind of see that kind of
there's
start to take
transitions
form.
and stuff.
I
yeah.
mean, when our first couple episodes, we were talking really about like health. Now we're like, now there's like an emphasis in the Mon community.
Yeah. We said, and that was on our. That was not the intent originally either.
No, yeah.
Our intent was just Southeast Asian men's mental health was like the big
Right.
bold topic,
Yeah.
and then it kind of just
Yeah, and then
has
now
gone
like,
into many different things.
yeah, and then now like we reached this point where okay, do we backtrack and go back into our original why we did this, or do we just kind of ride with this and say, hey, we found a niche, and this is kind of working for us. But you know, if we do that, is like, is that why we got into it? So then, you know, you start to ask yourself all these questions about okay, do I, like, how do we pivot? Do we want to keep this in, you know, very niche and continue talking about like monk topics? And it sounds, I don't know about you, but it sounds like there's a niche there and there's a need for
Yeah,
that.
for
And
sure.
So
As far as podcasting in the Mon community, you're saying? Yeah. No, absolutely. I think in the Mon community, you know, like I have a friend who's always giving me shit, and he's like, "Who the hell wants to listen to you guys talk?" And I agree. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know, dude, but some people do,
Yeah.
and I appreciate that some people do.
Yeah.
But even I question myself, right?
What kind of friend is that? Yeah.
I mean, I question myself too.
yeah.
I'm like, who the hell wants to
Yeah.
listen to us talk? Where
No, yeah.
you know, but I think if it goes back to the topic of as long as we're trying to bring something to the Mon community that's positive and
Yeah.
just expose things, then that like allows me to keep remembering why I'm doing it too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it feels like I'm just trying to share my life and like make that work for
Yeah.
and like, hey, let's see what comes up if I share my life. But it's not really that. It's
Right.
like the truth is we're doing a podcast. I mean, at least I am, is to first meet other monk people.
Yeah.
And 2 is like be inspired, but 3 is to throw it out into the universe. Because if it's
Right.
not spoken into the universe, if it's not recorded on here and filmed on here and then put into the universe, well then there's monk people out there that are never gonna hear it. And some people could use it,
Right.
whether it benefits them and like motivates them or inspires them or like whatever the case might be. If it's in the universe and it's exposed, something can come out of it. But if it's just in our brains, if we don't talk about this
Right.
publicly and nobody else is doing it either,
Yeah.
like somebody's got to, right?
Well,
somebody's
that's the
somebody's got to do something.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing is like there's such a lane for this, but there's nobody's doing it, and I think that's why.
Yeah, what do you think? Why do you think that is in the Hmong community with Hmong guys, especially? Why do you think there's a lot of people that are not doing podcasts
I think
and exposing?
it's exactly what your friend said, and because you know we come across these great ideas, we're like we're gonna do this and that, and then you run across that one friend that goes, "Who the heck wants to listen to you talk?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like that sounds stupid." And then like the idea just gets shut down, and you just never
Yeah.
end up doing it. But like we're realizing there's a lane for this.
Yeah.
People do want to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's what like now I'm kind of telling all my friends like start a podcast, do it,
Yeah.
yada yada. And I'm realizing like it's not crazy hard.
And
Like,
actually, it's pretty normal in 2024. Like,
yeah,
we're getting,
we're catching up.
Yeah, we're
yeah.
getting to our mid 30s too. So I think we still are like floating between that mindset of like
Yeah.
the early 2000s and the 2024s. But I think if we were 21, I think
Yeah.
a podcast is pretty like a norm. Like it's really
Yeah.
not that.
I mean, it's just
It's a
as
very normal
common as like
thing.
going live now and
Yeah, it's
going live on your
exactly.
on your phone or something like that. And it's like I think for people our age and older, maybe it's harder to understand
Yeah,
and
yeah,
conceptualize.
yeah.
But this is
This is
a
pretty
thing that's
normal if
this is
you're like
normal and
yeah,
and this already exists in other communities.
yeah. No,
Um,
absolutely for sure.
and so it's not too crazy that we're doing this, and that's why I always kind of tell people. Or now that I'm realizing, when we got there was a question at our live show about what we 3 things we needed to start the podcast,
Yeah,
and I was just like a mic, a camera, and a
yeah.
room to record it in, and you realize that's kind of the truth. And but back to the question, like it does kind of suck that
You,
like sometimes like something you want to do gets like halted, when you bring it up to your friends.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I was talking with James, who was a guest here, the guy who's gonna
A
be a
video editor.
psychologist, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were talking about like I think in the Mon community, some Mon guys, we have so much pride
Mhm.
that we are afraid of the judgment that's gonna come
Oh,
if
yeah.
we speak openly and publicly because we don't like the backlash. Like if I think
Oh, yeah.
about it, right, most Hmong guys, and I'm not trying to separate myself at all. It's not what I'm doing here. But most Hmong guys that I've seen is, first of all, they need to speak their truth more often because a lot of
Mhm.
times they don't, and then when they do, they say that they're not afraid of the judgment. But I think a lot of them are.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we always,
Yeah.
it's like going to a Hmong house as a Hmong man.
Yeah.
You don't want other Hmong men to talk crap. Now
Yeah.
you have a choice. You can just not care about it
Yeah.
and understand that everybody has an opinion anyway,
Yeah.
and roll with your why and do your thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot in the Hmong community, especially guys. I think girls in the Hmong community have always been underpinned. They've always been pushed down. So for them, they have nothing but to rebel and shine
Yeah.
and do their thing. Hmong guys, we talk like we're tough. We're
Yeah.
big. We got big game. But the truth is, I always notice Hmong guys, they're the most. They're the most scared of being criticized.
Right.
And so to do a podcast means you have to talk openly,
Yeah. And
be
you're
yourself,
putting yourself
and
out
put
there.
yourself out there,
Yeah.
and not be afraid to get burned. Which for as much as like we mostly hear, do you mostly hear positive things? Because I do, but I know that there's just as much, if
Yeah,
not more,
yeah.
negative stuff. Like, look at these guys. Who are they?
I
Like,
do now because I've curated my my algorithm to be mostly positive stuff. So I try to avoid all the negative stuff.
mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe there's like.
But you have to assume it's 50-50 no matter what, right?
Oh, I know it's out there. That's the
Right.
crazy thing, and we learned that through a couple episodes and a couple clips. And when the freaking when the haters came out.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. When the haters came out, hey,
uh,
but I always say, it's like Logan Paul or anybody, or like just if you watch UFC, MMA, wrestling, like the heel works.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be a heel, but when there are haters, it creates audience as well.
Yeah.
So I'm completely aware that there's
Yeah.
going to be haters, and that's totally okay. So if you're out there listening and you're worried about how you're going to be perceived, and I'll speak directly right now to the Hmong guys, there are going to be haters. No
Yeah.
matter what, there's going to be haters.
100%.
So
and in all communities,
in all communities,
I think
that's just humans.
Yeah, we're a small community where I think maybe we
You feel
see
it
a
more.
lot
Yeah,
more.
you
Yeah,
feel it
because
more.
like we all are consolidated.
Mhm.
Most of us are in the Twin Cities, among Facebook, and
Yeah.
we're all involved in that. And so I think maybe we hear and see it a little bit more. But I think once you do it too, I think one thing, my advice to you, if you do end up putting yourselves out there is like also pay attention to like the your supporters, because
Yeah.
like, a lot of people came out of the woodwork and supported us.
Mhm.
Like the fact that we had a lot of the guests, I think they saw what we were doing and that we were kind of spreading a positive message. I think that's why a lot of them really wanted to come on.
Yeah.
And we're willing to come on. It was just because we're just two guys. We're not here to kind of like
Yeah,
talk
we're not here
negatively
to
about anybody.
Yeah,
or anything like
we're
that.
not here to like look at us, look how cool we are, like how tight we
Yeah.
are. Like no, we're we're just two ring.
could.
Yeah, we could be
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think we
Yeah.
try to keep each other in check.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point. Like
Yeah.
we're not making this so we can say, look at us, look
Yeah.
how cool we are, look at the guests we have. Like that's
Yeah.
not even how we think.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're out there thinking that's how we think, you're wrong.
Yeah.
That's not how we think.
Yeah.
We are just like if you listen to us on if you go back to the first episode and listen, we're the same as we were at the episode 1.
Yeah.
We're learning, we're adjusting, we're tuning, we're
Yeah.
kind of changing things here and there, but authentically,
Yeah.
we haven't really changed. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't,
Oh, yeah.
I don't foresee us changing
No.
until the big endorsements come. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
So somebody
Just kidding,
signs a
but-
nice
yeah.
check. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the truth. Is like we're just speaking our truth, which is
Yeah.
just our truth, like
Yeah.
our truth, not anybody else's truth.
And at the end of the day, I think there's enough platforms and enough things in the Hmong community where I think that is filled with gossip and filled with kind of negative stuff.
Yeah,
I think
probably nice to
I
listen
think
to something
the positive
not
stuff
negative.
is refreshing, and I think we get to do that for a lot of people. And so I think that's why this has been fun, and I think that's why we've seen some of the little bit of success that we've had.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think putting yourself out there is scary. Like I say this on the podcast all the time, but like I've had so many friends with so many great ideas, but you talk to the one guy, you talk to the one hater or the one guy that's like maybe bitter about maybe because they've never taken that chance in their life, and they're just like, and then they're just doubting you, and they shut down your
and then
idea.
that voice is always louder, right? You always hear like you could hear 30 people tell you tomorrow, like, dude. It seems like you're doing great in life. I support you, and then hear one guy say, "Hey, I saw what you're doing, and honestly, it's looking kind of whack, and you should probably stop." And you're gonna hear that voice every single time. I mean, it's the reason why it's the reason why the news works. Bad news sells.
Yep.
And so we're kind of preconditioned to that. When we hear things that are bad, we're just gonna like zone in on that one comment when really there's like 30 good ones.
Yeah.
But we always focus on the
sure.
one bad comment.
And we see that in our comment section. There's so many positive people. And then like when there is a negative comment, like then it's even crazier. The cooler thing to see is like somebody to come out that we have no clue, come out and like stick up for us or like say something positive. And that's what when we had on, that was the comment section. It was like you'd get a hater or two, but then you'd have like maybe like 2 or 3 people that'll comment under that and be like, yo, like, why? Like, what's your deal?
At the same time, I like the haters too, because I think in a way, well, there's 2 ways to look at it. Some haters are trolling. Trolling is trolling.
Yeah.
Half the time it's
fun.
It's not even.
It can be fun.
Half the time that's not even what they really think.
Yeah.
But when somebody says something, like whether or not it's something they really think, I appreciate that there's people that also, because they have every right to also post a comment about what they disagree on.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
And to put it out there. And I actually like that people do it because it stirs and creates conversation. Now with the internet, sometimes it goes into a huge like just troll war.
Yeah.
Which that can always happen. I think we've been around the internet long enough to all understand that that's how the internet can go. But sometimes it creates a really nice conversation too.
Yeah.
And I actually like reading those comments. Like I might not always reply to those. Just because I don't want to really feel like I should engage in it's not my conversation.
Yeah.
But like I still want to read like what are people like, complaining about. Like a big one was always the one about, obviously Chef Ya's food has always been a topic of discussion in the Mon community. You'd be lying if you say you didn't read that, if you pay attention to anything in the Mon community. And it's just interesting to hear everybody's like takes. Some people are like, oh, it doesn't matter, his food is his food, and some people are like, no, monk food is not monk food anyway because it comes from Thai and Lao influence. And then some people say it's too American. Like there's all the angles, which I actually enjoy hearing.
And everyone is valid.
Everyone's valid.
Everyone's
Exactly.
take is valid in that. But and sometimes some of the haters, there's actual real constructive criticism in there too. And like a lot of our clips, like earlier clips, even now, like we make mistakes in our clips, whether it be the text from the captions.
The caption.
Right? Blame AI. No, but but we have to oversee that, and we should be correcting that as we go. And then if we don't, people will catch it. But Yeah, they're right. It is a fair criticism when people kind of point that out, and I mean, they're not hating for that. You
Yeah.
know, but so we do appreciate that too. And then, one of the reasons why I love podcasts is I love watching early podcasts when they're small, and then to watch them grow. One of my favorite podcasts is like the Matt and Shane's podcast, and I've been listening to them when they were like really small, and now now they're they're like they have the biggest Patreon. They're number one on Patreon, and they have like millions of views every week. And so like it's fun to watch that grow. And then like in our podcast, we don't have a Patreon or millions of
Yeah, yeah.
views, but like it's fun to see like
It's had some growth.
just like there's a little bit of development. Even if you scroll down our reels, you can see how things have changed
Yeah.
over like just
I
the
think
past like 10
yeah,
months here.
yeah, I think the one thing that, like, if I could give constructive criticism to us is just a more consistent studio.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
Here
Because
we
here
are.
we're
in a
somewhere new. We're
studio
still in the same
again.
shop that
Yeah.
you've seen. Like,
Yeah.
actually, every episode we've shot, I think, minus our live, has always been in the shop, but it's
Yeah.
just like in different rooms.
Yeah.
So we're just trying stuff out. If you're a person who actually does watch it, not just listen to it, then you'll notice like, oh,
Yeah.
well, how come these guys keep moving rooms? We're just testing it out.
And we're in this room today because of another mistake that we made. But
Yeah.
we anticipated on having like two extra guests, so we wanted to make sure we had room for them. And plus, like we're shooting this in January. It's negative 20 degrees outside.
Yeah, the garage is not as
a little
warm.
chilly.
Yeah. So
Speaking of the garage, like what do you got planned for Yellow in
oh
2024?
yeah, business wise. So 2024, which is I think year 2 being full time. So. Because the first 6 years
Yeah.
as part time, I don't really consider them the truth. The truth is now because the stress is now.
Yeah.
It's just keep growing, man. Which means more events, more sponsorship of teams, people, more connections.
Mhm.
Business is always connections. Meeting more people that might need our services, that could benefit from us. People that like me, that I like them, and then we find a
Yeah.
common mutual ground. As far as like my team, I don't foresee getting much bigger. I think we still have a lot of potential to grow within just the. We haven't fulfilled the max capacity of all of our
Right,
hands. Basically, we
Yeah.
still have room for that. And it's just keep shooting at a target that I don't know that exists, but
Yeah.
it's just keep going and don't give up. And yeah, that's really it. I think that's kind of the story of business for me. I think it's just story of business for most, or at least small
Yeah.
business. Is you're shooting at a target and you just hope that it turns, and you keep.
Right.
I keep all the data and the statistics and the charts, and I look at all that, but I try not to get lost in it either, because sometimes you believe your stats more than you believe what's actually happening.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, yes, stats are showing you what's there, but
yeah.
I think some people also get analysis paralysis, where they just get caught up in the statistics as opposed to just, you got to believe. Some of it is partially your gut feeling,
Yeah.
partially your heart is like, you have to believe that just as much as you believe the statistics, the graphs in front of you.
Right.
So yeah, that's it. How about you? What's Gorilla Pasture up to 2024? What's the big game plan
I think
compared to
2024 is very interesting. This is kind of like our second year in real business,
And you went pretty hard last year.
Yeah. So we've done
So how do you beat that?
I think the goal right now is like, I think just personally in my personal life, we have a couple of different things going on. My wife is getting ready to graduate.
Okay.
Grad school, and then potentially find a career by the end of the year. And so I want to do what I can to support her in that. As far as like business is, and then we're talking about having a third child. Then
trying to land that son of yours?
I don't know. Oh, that's a great topic too. Do I want a son? I don't know. Oh shoot. Okay, remind me about that. Yeah, we're trying to have a third kid, so that's time consuming in itself.
Yeah.
My wife and family has been extremely supportive of this whole process, and so I think in 2024 or in 2023 we found what works.
Yep.
And then it's going to double down on what works.
Yep.
And then maybe some of their side ventures take, we don't
A
spend so
slight
much time
hiatus.
with
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah. So then it's just doing what works, and then it's just kind of continue to refine us, redefine us. We're thinking about we're gonna redo um, shoot, what do they call that? We're gonna redesign a couple of logos.
Yeah. Just
Rethink.
kind of refresh
Yeah,
the brand a little bit. Yeah.
rebranding. There we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
We're gonna rebrand a little bit, and continue to be more bee centric. We're looking to partner up with other local farmers to
Yeah.
like put bees on their farm. I have to be careful about that because I don't want to spend my whole weekends traveling from site to
Yeah.
site to work bees, and I still work a full time job. So like
Yeah.
that's that's my crutch. Is that okay? Yes, I have a family. Yes, there are things going on with that, but shoot, 40, 50, 60 hours of my week are already tied to something else that I'm obligated
Yeah.
to be there. And so it's just navigating that as opportunities continue to come, not drop the ball there, but also just weighing those a little bit more and figuring out, okay, is this gonna work? Is this more profitable? I think one thing I'm really I don't know how much I want to say just because like shoot it cannot it
Yeah.
may not pan out,
Yep.
and then and if it doesn't pan out, like then I end up looking like an idiot.
Yeah.
But you know what? I shoot for the stars, so
Yeah.
fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what? We are working on. I did just get invited to speak at the PBS Lawn and Garden Show in
Nice.
Wisconsin,
It's
and
huge.
so like it's a huge like they have like 10 to 20,000 people that
Wow.
come that attend every year. And then I'm like the first Hmong presenter, so I'm
Wow.
going to be speaking about Hmong agriculture, like and the transition coming into the States and
Yeah.
how we look at nature, how we had
Wow.
to look at nature a little bit
That's a
differently.
big responsibility.
Yeah, yeah,
But at the same time, everything is a challenge. So
Yeah,
why shy
yeah.
away from it, right?
yeah, exactly. So
So-
like when I first got it, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. But
Yeah.
then after talking to my wife, at the end of the day, it's like too good of an opportunity to pass up. And then this is a chance for me because I've rolled really hard and I've marketed really hard towards the Mon community, and so this is kind of my this is an
Flip
opportunity
the
for me
switch
to
a little bit, yeah.
transition into more of a English speaking audience.
Yeah, which I think is
and
super
so-
important. It's
in any business, right?
Yeah, in any
you can only
business.
stay niche for so long.
yeah,
yeah.
and because that's a question that like that's something as a Hmong business owner that I ask myself a lot. We are in a community where there's a lot of Hmong people around us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's easy to get lost in that. Like you could, if a lot of your audience or client and customers are Hmong people, you can start to believe that that's all it is. And it's no, it's like I appreciate my Hmong clients 100%. That's
Yeah.
like my people. But
Yeah,
I
and
also
they got
understand.
it started.
Yeah, they get us moving. But I
Yeah.
also understand that for my business to grow, it needs more watering, and to get more watering,
Yeah.
I have to reach out to other audiences as well.
Yeah.
And I think, if anything, it makes me as a business sharper because now I have to learn how to communicate across mass audiences of
Mhm.
different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's important. But like you said, or like you're saying that you want to transition a little bit, like I'm in the same boat as well. I love my Hmong audience and I always respect them. But if you're trying to grow a business, you kind of have to reach out to more.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're like maybe the Hmong funeral home, because
Yeah,
now
yeah,
you're a
yeah.
Hmong funeral home
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like a Hmong bar.
Yeah.
But and everyone has a flaws. Everybody's business. It's your own business. You run it
Right,
how
right,
you
right,
want to.
right.
But I always found the importance of like why close the door
Right.
to
Mhm.
other people
Mhm.
when what I'm doing
Yeah.
is universal. Like
Yeah.
like honey or beeswax, like those are universal to all human beings.
Right.
Like why narrow to just Hmong?
Yep.
Me detailing a car, tinting your windows. Car enthusiasts don't just look Asian. Car
Right.
enthusiasts are white, they're black, they're Mexican. Liking a
Right.
car is just humans. Some humans just love their cars.
Exactly. Exactly.
And so I always think why limit it? But like we said, the Hmong funeral home is different. It's
Yeah.
that's
it's
cultural.
It's different for
Yeah.
every business model, and I think for me, like it was great. What I found was like, essentially, I was introducing a new product by way of like organic, local honey
Yeah.
reintroducing the Mon community into that because, like, back in the homeland, they used to consume honey. They didn't like beekeep, but
Right,
they
right.
would go out and harvest it. And so that was like my niche.
Yeah.
And I still plan to push, continue to like push really hard in the Mon community. But I think that the speaking engagement just offers
Yeah, you got to
me,
spread your wings.
yeah,
You
yeah,
spread
an
your wings other
opportunity to like
places
reach
just to
a
see.
larger audience, which like I definitely am not going to shy away
Yeah,
from.
and that's the thing
And
too.
so,
If you go to more audiences, as an entrepreneur, then your doors open up. Like it's like you added like
yeah,
50 doors that you could open, and like what's on the other side?
yeah,
Like that's what you're doing by broadening up your audience. Is like you're giving yourself more opportunity, and like let's be honest, an entrepreneur is a person who
yeah,
has to look for opportunities that could potentially help grow his business.
yeah.
And so a bigger audience, more doors you can open, more connections you can meet, and
Right.
then you never know what could happen, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. And
So you
maybe
have
it's
to
like
take that chance.
maybe it's like too soon to say, but like watching and having met Chef Yeah, I think it's really cool. Is like what he did with Hmong food was reach a larger
Yeah.
audience with it, and essentially, I
Well,
would
that's
love
why
to
he
do.
that's why he gets so many haters.
Yeah, that's why it is
Yeah,
controversial,
that's
right?
why it is controversial.
And that's why like hopefully I can do something similar to that with agriculture.
Mhm.
Is reach out to like a larger audience with how we grow food and kind of some of the things that are dear to us, and be like the Vang of agriculture.
Yeah.
Get my own show,
Yeah.
on my homestead.
Yeah, as long as it's fun and exciting for
Yeah,
you, and you
yeah.
get to, like you can always do all those things and still bring up your community, which I think is
Yeah,
what
I think
does
that's
well.
what he balances really
Yeah.
well. Yeah, yeah,
Like I mean, if you gave me a platform that was like 100,000, 200,000 people, a million, I would
Yeah.
always do my part to bring up
Oh,
my
yeah.
community,
Yeah.
or my people, my
Yeah.
Hmong people. I would always bring up the story
Yeah.
because why not?
yeah,
Why not? If you get the audience, make everybody else look
yeah.
good.
And it's not like we can hide it. I think people
Yeah, it's
look
your
on the screen
identity
and they
too.
look.
Yeah,
Yeah, they obviously.
They're gonna ask. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna ask.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Are you Korean?" Nope,
Yeah.
not even close. We're
Yeah.
Hmong. Yeah, so no, yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. So that's kind of our plans for 24, both on the personal side with our businesses, as well as what we kind of plan
what
to
about
do.
what about your personal? I know
Yeah,
you
yeah,
talked a
yeah.
little bit about your business. Sorry.
Yeah, we did business, we did podcast. Personal side, I really want to get back in shape. I think,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I weighed myself yesterday and I was 171. That's the
Yeah.
most that I've ever.
Is that heavy for you?
That's heavy
I
for
thought
me.
I saw you post that, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Dang, he got down to
171 is pretty
171?
heavy for me.
Really?
Yeah,
In my head, I was like, "Oh, he got down to
162 to
171.
165 has always been my
Really?
normal.
Okay.
So when I've been
Yeah.
170 before when I'm trying to bulk and get bigger,
Yeah.
but never just like normally.
Yeah.
So the fact that I'm 170 normally now, that's like,
Yeah.
that's like you walking around at
Yeah.
your bulk weight normally. Like you
Yeah.
don't want that.
Dude, I'm 190 something.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
How tall are you?
I'm like 5'4",
5'4",
5'3".
dang,
Yeah.
bruh.
5'4" on a good day. 5'5"
I
on
don't know.
camera.
Depends how you feel
since
about.
since it's on the record, I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I'm like realistically like 5'4", 190. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I want to get back in shape, I think I've had a dilemma where from 18 to 33, I was always in the Marine Corps or firefighting. So I always had like the job almost always required of me to have some sort of fitness.
Yeah.
And now I'm just a business owner, which I should just be fit for everyday life just to feel healthy.
Yeah.
But it was easier when I had an actual job that made me feel as though I needed to be in
Yeah.
shape. And that's so it's something new that I've had to learn and navigate. Like, hey, now you need to work out just for your health.
Yeah.
Before I did that too, but I had an extra thing that would like make me kick an
Right,
extra gear.
right.
So now it's just one thing I have been unhappy with myself is just not being in the best shape that I
Yeah,
can be.
yeah.
I've always operated my best when I'm in really good shape and I
Yeah.
eat well and I'm regimental about I need to work out. I need
Yeah.
like that is when I am at my best, physically and mentally. So I want to go back to that.
Yeah.
I'm 35 now. I'm still what an old person would consider a young man.
Right.
I'm what a young person would consider
Consider
a
old.
middle-aged
Yeah,
man. But
yeah.
I'm not a young man. I wouldn't say I'm an old man. I'm in the
Yeah.
middle, so I should still feel
Right.
like I'm, I still want to feel like I'm 35. 35 to me is not an old age. Like
Yeah.
35 to me, you are still pretty peak. Like you're not 21,
Yeah.
but you can still be something solid at 35, and that's
Yeah.
the way, that's
Yeah.
the standard I hold for myself, and that's what I want to see in this year. So personally, it's that's number one. It's like my health, because
Sure.
I need to be better. Two is obviously just continue to be a good husband, figure out what that means. That means putting down my ego more. I always have some, even though I think
Right.
I'm pretty good at
We
it.
all do.
We all
Yeah.
do. So it's always like knowing how to be a better husband, be more
Mhm.
supportive of the wife.
Still learning that every day.
Yeah, that's, I don't think that ever ends. And then three is just we're looking deeper into like what the wife and I have to do. We're still trying to have a child. We've come through our own little hurdles. I'm not gonna go too deep into those,
Yeah.
but we've had our own hurdles. So it's still like trying to do that, because I am realizing that I am getting older too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, personally, yeah. I spoke on it a little bit earlier, but like, yeah, wife is graduating, so it's just
Yep.
about maximizing my time with it. I did take a little break this during the holidays to just fully be present with
Yeah.
my kids. We took them to Disney World, took them to like the Great Wolf Lodge, took them to, I think Eau Claire has this like resort thing over
Nice.
there too, and so we did a ton of fun stuff and just kind of hung out with the kids. And I just wanted to make sure I'm fully present. It's really cool because like the business allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
Never on my own. Because my wife is full time at home and full time at school. It's like we're on one income, so I never in my world would I would have thought, oh, I could be able to afford some of these things. And I'm I'm so blessed to have had the support of all of my customers and people that have like supported me, and to be able to kind of do that for my kid is pretty special.
Yeah.
Um, and so just continue to remain present. There's a lot of opportunities and good things coming, and big opportunities that have came my way or coming my way, but never letting those kind of get in the way of being a good father,
Yeah. Yeah.
and being a good husband. Because this is like a team effort.
Yeah.
I think you guys don't see the work that I'm sure both of our wives put in just to kind
Yeah.
of deal with us, to kind of do this
But I
podcast
think
and our business.
the good husbands out there,
Yeah.
they get it.
Yeah.
I think to be a good husband, you have to be recognizant of the amount of work our wives do
Yeah.
to allow us to be us.
Yeah.
Like I think a wife is such an important piece to a man. Like I'm not saying you got to be married, or I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
saying any of that, but I'm just saying for me, and it sounds like for you.
Oh yeah.
And I think for people who are married, who have long successful marriages, is like our wives are the backbone. They're
Oh, for
like
sure.
they're our checks, our balances.
Yeah.
They're a backbone. So if we don't perform as husbands to the best of our ability, then we potentially risk losing that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like
drop your egos.
I can be a
Drop your
dreamer,
egos.
right? And I can have all these crazy ideas and continue to pursue all these ideas, because I have
Exactly,
a
because
wife
you
that
have a
can
wife
take
that's
care of the day-to-day stuff.
Yep.
And that I have to make sure I support her in that too. And her going to grad school, like education is big for her and her family. So then I don't want to take that away from her. Of course, I can just be like, hey, you know what? Just quit school and help me out with this farm here, right? And there was a period of that, which was crazy because like to think about. But then it's just at the end, she had to go, hey, this is what you wanted. This
Yeah.
isn't what I want. So I'm gonna support you in any way I can, but don't push me into this thing, because what I want is a little different.
Yep.
And so yeah, man, shout out to the wives. We got to get them on the podcast. We
Yeah.
talked about it, but
we've tried to get
yeah.
our wives on here, but our wives are like we said, our wives are not us.
Yeah.
We enjoy doing this.
Yeah.
I know my wife doesn't care to do this.
Yep. Same.
No, my wife is funny because if I had maybe this could be the way I can get her on here.
Yeah.
If I told my wife I want to have a talk about public school education, then she would be all
Yeah,
in
yeah.
because
But to do
professionally,
it,
yeah,
and put it on
professionally,
record.
professionally,
Okay.
she's that's her thing, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like a lot of Hmong women, you know,
yeah.
really focused on work. But if I asked her to just come here and just be my like, hey, can you just be here as a guest like
Yeah.
my wife? I think she's already said no to that.
Yeah,
So
and she's hilarious because like sometimes I remember when we were talking really early on in the podcast, like she would be in the background laughing and making jokes, and
yeah,
she seems like a pretty cool person. I haven't had
yeah,
too many interactions with her. That's like
yeah.
the crazy thing is like like you said earlier, you think we're like tight, but like we I
Y-
don't know if our wives have met each other. Maybe
Mm,
once or twice.
yeah,
We
yeah, once or twice. No, they definitely have, but it's
yeah
definitely our project.
yeah yeah yeah
And
yeah
so and
yeah
but but we understand
yeah
that. We
yeah
understand that it is
yeah
our little passion project that we run on our own.
yeah
We don't get paid for it. We just do
yeah.
it for fun. We just are curious to see where it goes,
All right,
whether or not it goes anywhere.
maybe that's our goal for 2024. We get our
Yeah,
wives
get
on the
our wives on.
podcast.
Let us know if you think
Yeah,
our
yeah,
wives should come on the podcast
yeah.
and
Dude, they should
tell.
do. I've been telling them they should just do one episode, just the two of them. Have them come on and just call us out on all of our bullshit.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and just
yeah.
like shit on us. I think that'll be hilarious.
Yeah, you'll definitely get. I think you guys, no matter how much we are vulnerable, you still get a version of a polished,
Yeah,
slightly
yeah,
polished version.
exactly,
No matter what,
exactly.
no matter
Because
what we
there's
do,
always two
because we're
sides of
still
the
talking.
story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's funny. So yeah, 2024 sounds like there's a lot going on for you, for I.
Yeah.
This year I'll be turning 36. How about you? 34, 33,
34.
34.
Yeah, yeah. 34.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's
It's go time.
it's move. Yeah, we gotta
Yeah,
move.
it's
Oh,
go
let me
time.
ask you one last thing here. I know we're punching on 46 minutes.
Yeah.
It's telling me,
Yeah.
but how's the mental health like? Obviously we're aware of what we
Yes.
need to do. We're aware of where we want to go,
Yeah.
but how are we really doing ourselves?
Yeah, I've been going to therapy. I've revealed at the live show that I've only started therapy as content for the podcast,
Yeah.
but it's actually been really helpful. So there
No,
was a,
but be real. You also had talked about it before.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
had talked about the
yeah.
idea
I mean,
of like
I
like
definitely needed it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, I've always been, I've always been a doer and I've always been a driver. So my way of doing things is just to continue to push,
Yeah, right.
push. And, therapy has helped me to kind of realize, like, all right, let me chill out a little bit. Um, and let me, I've realized, like, because I drive so much, the only person that I was dumping all of my emotions and sometimes negativity towards was my wife, and so she was the burden of
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
and she had to bear all of that, and so she had to deal with me when things weren't going well. She had to deal with me when things were great. She had to deal with me when shoot, like, man, we're struggling, and so the therapy has kind of helped giving me somebody else to kind of talk to about that and
Yeah.
help me kind of process some of these things a little bit more. And so it's my wife really appreciates that. One of the conversations that I've had with her was, one of the conversations that I think a lot of couples have is just like, hey, work on X, Y, and Z, and us as guys will go, yeah, we'll work on it, but we never actually do. And then the therapy actually like
Yeah.
is like something tangible that I can say I'm working on it, and it's been helping, and my wife appreciates it.
Yeah.
She appreciates it a lot that I've been attending, and I think she notices the difference, and it's
Well,
allowed me to
I
be a
think
lot more
let me
present.
ask you, are
Yeah.
you noticing for yourself that it's making you a sharper version of yourself?
It's helped me organize my thoughts
Yeah.
a lot more. When you're just go go go, sometimes you don't put down on pen and paper what you need to do. Sometimes you don't really step back. Like it's even I said earlier, like I alluded to, like trying to be a better friend.
Yeah.
Even just being a better friend to like the dear ones that have supported me. I have a lot of people that support me um, with the podcast, with the farm, and so Therapy has allowed me to take a step back and go, all right, how can we be a little bit more appreciative of all of them, um, and not just make it seem like we're continually asking and asking
Right,
and
right, right,
asking
right.
until
No,
we're
I
taking
I
and taking
100% agree with
and
that.
giving something back. And so, yeah, I I think it's helped me a
Yeah,
lot.
for
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
for sure. I think I need to go back.
yeah. It's time
Honestly,
to
yeah,
go.
I think I need
Yeah,
to go
yeah,
back. I've I felt mostly solid, but I've definitely had like in this last 2 weeks, I've had like a lot of self doubt,
yeah,
and I'm a pretty confident person most of the time.
yeah,
I'm pretty like well aware, sure of myself,
yeah.
like how I think, how I feel. But the last 2 weeks, for some reason, I've had a lot of self doubt,
Mm,
mostly because I haven't like some of the objectives that I've set forth with the business I haven't been hitting, the gym I haven't been hitting. Like I'm kind
yeah,
of a regimental person. Like
yeah,
I'm kind of built to be really regimented, just from my
yeah.
experiences like the
Military,
military and stuff.
firefighting.
Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's how I function at my best because that's how I've been indoctrined.
Hmm.
But I've not been doing that as much lately. So I feel like when like I feel like it's too loose.
Yeah,
Like when it's
yeah,
too loose, I don't really it's like if I know, like if I tell myself, like, okay, you have to sleep by this time, and this is what time you're supposed to wake up, and then today you have to get a
right.
workout in, and you have to eat correct, and you
Yeah,
know when you set those goals for yourself, and you know when you're not hitting them, it's
yeah.
like you hit the snooze button,
Yep,
you know
yep,
that the meal you're supposed to
yep.
eat is that one, but you're like, man, right now I'm feeling Taco Bell, so you go
Yeah,
with that, and then those things just pile up. It's
yeah,
one, two, three, it compounds, and
yeah,
then you're like. So then after a week or two of doing that, I'm like, holy crap, I'm like falling off.
yeah.
So
You gained 10 pounds.
yeah,
You've like slept significantly less.
yeah, yeah.
You've been like that
Like you're out
much
of
less.
order, you're
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
sync. And
yeah.
so I've been doing more of that lately, and,
Okay.
and it's a tough thing because sometimes I think that's all right. Like
Yeah,
what's wrong with that? Like
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
we're not like you're not do I'm not doing that for 10 years. I think for 10 years is a problem.
Hmm.
But for a week or two or a month,
Yeah, yeah,
it happens. The
yeah,
life is so long, you're not going to be locked in
yeah,
at all times.
yeah, yeah. Like the last 3 weeks, like I've just spent with my family and kids. Like I
Yeah.
haven't really, I've responded to emails here and there. I've done some podcast stuff. I've done some farm stuff. But like, if you're paying attention, like,
Like
yeah,
your
I've
mind
just
is
been
mostly
phoning it
focused.
in.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but it's nice. We
Yeah,
need
it
that
is
little bit
nice.
of
It is nice.
recharge, and just to be fully present with the wife and
It's
kids.
I always
Yeah,
say it's tough though to it's tough to want to feel relaxed. It's tough for me to find ways to relax with a business.
yeah. Oh, one hundred
Because a
percent.
business doesn't really care
Yeah,
and the business needs you at all times,
yeah.
So the
Oh yeah,
business doesn't allow you to freedom yourself as much, like as
no,
much as you think you are, right? Like people
yeah,
always say, find the balance, find the balance. Yeah, I do. I try to. I slow
yeah,
down. Sometimes I just disconnect from the business. But the truth is, until you have a full running team at your
yeah,
business, managers,
yeah,
front desk people, technicians, HR, until you have every piece of the puzzle in place,
yeah.
you really can't chill that much because it still requires you be there.
Right.
And we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh
we
yeah.
will be in a few
Yeah.
years,
Hopefully. Yeah.
hopefully. Um, but that's
Yeah.
the truth of
But
also being an
here's
entrepreneur.
what my therapist told me. My therapist told me that at the end of the day, like, yes, there's gonna be things to do, there's tasks to do. Um, what is your promise to your significant other? What is your promise to your kids? What is your promise
Yeah.
to yourself? And then are you, no matter how much of a break you're taking or how hard you're grinding, are you still upholding those things?
Hmm. Right, your
and
values.
Yeah, yeah.
Are you still true to your values?
And so that's allowed me to kind of take a little break. And even when I take a break, I'm still doing things, right? Just because if I just fully drop it, I
Yeah.
come back and then now I
Yeah,
have
yeah, yeah.
nothing going, and nothing to look forward to, and that hurts too. Because like when I first took a break, I was like, all right, let me not do anything, and I realized after that week, I was like, holy shit, I haven't planned for
Yeah.
January, I haven't planned for February, I haven't got ads, shoots, or like anything going on. Like I have nothing to look forward. And then like that started the downward spiral. So
Yeah.
then even on my breaks, like I realized that I need to respond to emails. I need to do some bare minimum things. Um,
Yeah, and when you're in
yeah,
business, I think when you're the business owner, you really do feel the ups and the downs.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no
Every
one
up
else that's
and
gonna feel them
every
but you.
down. Yeah.
So you know when the business is not active.
Yeah.
But then when you're posting every day, you can feel like the
Yeah.
comments go up, the likes go up, the
Yeah,
shares
yeah.
go up, the phone calls go up. Like everything tends to have it's synergistic. Like
Yeah.
it's relative to your effort.
Yeah.
And once you realize that, you're like, okay, I got to keep going. But
Yeah.
that's the downfall.
Yeah.
Because, yes, the entrepreneur wants, and his job is to grow.
Yeah.
But
At
the
expense
human
of what?
being, at the expense
yeah.
of the human being,
Yeah.
right? So, and we try to, some entrepreneurs maybe wouldn't talk about this, but I try to be transparent about that because it's just the truth. It's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
It's life. You go for a big quest, and they take a toll for like everything that's good has a bad that there's
Yeah.
a balance there. It takes
Yeah.
away from your family, it takes away from your wife, but the business does well. Or
Yeah.
you give more to your wife and your family and your business suffers, and like you said, it does come back down to knowing your why.
Yeah.
But it's just tough. That part, like this conversation here, has always been challenging to me as a business owner because I'm a pretty ambitious person, and so when you run a business, you're always ambitious about it. Luckily, we have good wives. I have a wife that's great. I don't have children yet, so for me, I have that freedom of not feeling like I'm taken away from my kids. I think if I have kids, it'd be even harder. Just like feeling like you're taking even a minute away from them is like.
But then you also
they don't deserve it.
You're right. Like it does take time away, but then your motivation there's a different motivation. That kicks in, and then it allows you to like push a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Too. So then there's good and bad.
I've selfishly wanted to eventually have kids for that reason.
Oh yeah.
I'm always
just like I need a reason to
because I see it in people.
Yeah.
Because I can clearly see it in other human beings when they have children. Like the guys that I look up to, that are motivated in life and have children, their purpose and their drive is very, very clear. It's not about them. They are very clear about why they're doing it, and it's always about like this is for my children and their future, and it's such a pure motivation that they have, and I find myself to be a fairly motivated guy already.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'm like, it sucks because it is a selfish opinion. Obviously, I want kids because I want my own children.
Yeah.
But I'm always like, oh God, if I had children, like that would be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't need to ask myself why when I got up.
Right.
I just have to look at my kids and be like, that's why, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Your kids are there. Like, if you don't do well, then you're going to hurt them, So, I think your little nephew's here.
Oh, okay. Oh, awesome. Okay.
So,
awesome.
Yeah, I think we'll check
thanks
out.
For tuning in.
Yeah, we'll check
first
out. We have our
episode of
next guest. So.
Yeah, we have our next guest.
We kind of rambled on quite a bit, but we thank you guys for following with us.
And it's good catching up with you because anytime we have a string of guests, like we don't really get a chance to kind of catch up and see how we're doing. So awesome. Thank you for tuning in.
I'll close out. Yeah. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in, listening in. We don't do as many pods where it's just Peng and I. But if you guys like those, we can obviously do more of those. But we're just trying to catch up 2024, and stay tuned with us. Subscribe, like our stuff if you enjoy the content or the topics that we talk about, and we'll see you guys soon.